Hello, dear listeners. This is Stu Sutclif. My email address is realstewsutcliffe@gmail.com. Well, we're up to a very somber time right now. As most of you know, this is the fourth anniversary of the death of Libby and Abby, Liberty German and Abigail Williams, on February 13th and 14th of 2017. Here we are in 2021, and the case remains unsolved. How did we get here? Where is here? Why do I feel so numbed about the whole thing? It's just numbing. So it's been about 1,460 days and no arrests. I'm not going to say no suspects because there might be a suspect, but they just can't do anything with him or them. Many people believe that there were several people involved in the killings, not just the bridge guy, as we refer to. Well, this case has people pulling out hair. Yeah, and it's funny because when I first started covering this case about 3 years ago, I got into it about a year after it began, thinking I was going to wait a year, thinking that it would be solved and I wouldn't have to get out and say anything, which didn't happen. So when I started developing an interest in the case, I thought there was something really strange about it. I was already aware of the case, from like the first day. But I said to myself, well, this is just going to be different. I just have this feeling it's not going to be a conventional murder case. It's going to be a bunch of twists and turns, and it's going to be a real hardship for everybody involved. And that's held true so far. It's such an oddball case that it's probably going to end the way it began, if it ends at all. I just can't believe it. And to those of you who are new at this case and are trying to understand it, good luck. Because those of us that have been on it for many, many months still can't understand it. And there's a plethora of false information and innuendos and people pointing blame. A lot of people have been really had their careers destroyed because of this. And I tell you, it's kept me awake at nights. So how's it going to get solved? I don't know. Who is the perpetrator? Who is the bridge guy? I don't know. By the way, I just thought of something. This is my audio. It's not a YouTube video. It's a YouTube audio. How about that? Well, wonders never cease. So, who is this bridge guy? It seems like he was a space alien, like he had never been here before, and he came down from outer space to do his dirty deeds and vanished without a trace. Well, he left traces, but they're not doing us any good now, are they? And as far as digital DNA goes, good luck with that. Look up digital DNA, and when you find out what it means, send me an email or leave in the comments exactly what digital DNA is. It gives me a chuckle. We have some very strange individuals trying to solve the case, and they wouldn't even be able to find their own turd if it was missing. So what? Everything's been said and done, right? What's new? Anything interesting on the horizon? We're going to get a press conference at all? At this recording, I don't see one in sight. Maybe it'll be some little makeshift speech or something. I don't know. Cops are probably pretty embarrassed at this point. All that evidence, and that's, evidence. You can have a lot of evidence, but it's got to be usable evidence, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to hold up in court. It even has to be there to make an arrest. There's got to be reasonable suspicion and probable cause. But what I can't believe is that the murders happened where they found the girls, and I keep harping on this. I don't believe it happened there. I believe they were transported back there. I don't know how Deer Creek played into it, if the DNA was washed off, or I don't even know the exact mileage that where they found the girls was from the nearest point of the creek. I'm sure that's out there. I just haven't found it yet. I don't know the exact mileage from the Mears barn to the kill site. I don't know what any of those so-called witnesses had to say, or what the witnesses witnessed, and all these years later, if they'd be any good for anything. As for a witness review board, which has been suggested, go ahead and look that up and figure out what it means, what it is. Doesn't apply to this case. It wouldn't be usable and they would never try it. But yet there's someone out here, a very narcissistic person, that keeps insisting that's what they ought to do. Maybe we should turn the whole investigation over to him because he's so good, and his groupies. God, it's easy to start a cult of personality. I could do it all day if I wanted to, but I have no interest in it. I could get a bunch of little purple Kool-Aid drinkers to follow me around and puppet everything I say, parrot everything I say. No interest in that. Got other better things to do. Now, when I first started on this case, there weren't many people on YouTube or any of the other social media really talking much about it. There might have been about 20 or 30 people. And I remember those days, and Greeno was one of them, Randy Gravitt, Gray Hughes, and even Harvey Carroll. All the old timers that had been on the case since day one. um, and and things were a little easier to manage back then. And now all of a sudden, all these years later, there's thousands of people writing their thoughts, and YouTubers and on social media and Reddit and Snapchat and Instagram. I mean, it's everywhere, which is kind of what we wanted. I mean, we wanted the exposure, right? So I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying it's so hard to keep up with it now, and there's so much misinformation being passed around from all these newbies. And I listen to it, I'm like, well, I covered that before, or so and so covered that before. It's been covered a dozen times. You're beating a dead horse, and people just there's some insist that they know who the guy is. Well, why don't you turn him in to Crime Stoppers and collect the reward, or turn him into the Indiana State Police? One good thing is there's no limit on the time you can prosecute for murder, like on other types of crimes where you only have a limited time to bring charges. So what do you all think Bridge Guy's doing these days? So we don't know who he is. We don't know his habits. We don't know if he's alive or if he's jailed somewhere else. What do you think he's thinking? What do you think he's doing? And he's watching and listening to our videos and all the commentary, which is a task in itself. I wonder who he is. It just everything's been suggested, from a shunned Amish down to a truck driver, a pest control guy. And what about the people, like I mentioned earlier, that believe there was more than one perpetrator? That's starting to gain in popularity. Because in the daytime, out in the open in February with very few leaves on the trees and not many places to leave fingerprints or even a shoe print or DNA, which DNA is not the final word. There's plenty of people that get off murders where they had their DNA, and it just the jury found him not guilty. Juries are funny. They're fickle. One thing I keep harping on is we need to see the coroner reports. They need to be made public. There's no excuse to just hold on to them. It could jog somebody's memories, and tired of hearing about it. It'll be disrespectful, or it'll jeopardize the case. You people that say that crap don't know what you're talking about. We need those coroner reports so we can focus on different areas and throw out what we don't need and hold on to what we need to keep. And we would like to know the time of death, the approximate time of death for both girls. It's just a matter of time. They eventually have to be released. A group of people could petition the court and get the judge to release it. I don't see why they don't when the case is so cold and so stalled. And I wonder how many tips per day they're getting now and how many they actually follow up. If they're still following up tips, how do you go about following them up? If they're like 1,000 miles away, do you jump on an airplane or, a lot of misinformation about following up tips and calling people back and sorting out. They probably got a good tip and it probably got thrown away. But getting back to our bridge guy, did anybody notice someone that had scratches on their face, or how about tattoos? Any anybody remember anyone in the area of that was going to be in Delphi that day, Delphi, Indiana, and a couple days later they go to a tattoo parlor and get facial tattoos, or haven't heard that talked about much. But that, scratches on the face, it just, nothing's happened. It didn't go anywhere. How can this be? It almost looks like Bridge Guy was a remote control human, or I should say subhuman. And now I'm going to take a moment of silence in remembrance of Libby and Abby. Okay, that was enlightening. I feel like crap right now because of this case still dragging on, and have no idea what the future holds for it as we are here at Valentine's Day 2021. Wow, this really sucks. But should we give up? Oh, hell no. Got to stick with it, got to see it through. I don't have any good news to report, but there could be a break in the case. There's a small chance, and it is a small chance now, that we could catch the bridge guy and possible accomplices. It just doesn't look good, but it's not impossible. Like many people have said, similar cases have been solved years later. So all we can do is hope for the best. I wonder if Delphi still has people putting up orange light bulbs all over town, or how many of them are still working or burned out, or even where you get orange light bulbs from. Probably around Halloween. So, things are really heated up this time of year, like in past years, and with each year that goes by, there's more urgency. I hope some of the people will take off their kid gloves and quit being so bloody nice to law enforcement and start demanding answers, and even if the family would demand that some more footage could be released, more audio or more video or transcripts or anything, it would be helpful. And anybody can solve it. It's unlikely a YouTuber would, but it's not impossible. At the very best, or at the very least, we're providing exposure. And the case will get more and more exposure as time goes by. It's gotten a lot in the last year. It's really picked up. But at the same time, you can go up to a man on the street and just say, "Hey, have you ever heard of Delphi and the murders of Libby and Abby?" And they're going to be like, "Huh?" It's just, and I do that all the time. And people don't know. So many people just have not heard of the case, but quite a few people have. So I don't know. What it is what it is, people. And it's a tragedy. We will not give up. I've said all I want to say. I'm not making any videos, or not any. I'm not making many videos lately. Just don't know what to make a video about. But we'll see. We'll see down the road. Until something good happens with this case, keep the peace, and peace to everybody. And we're faced with a grim, dire situation that needs to be solved, and maybe somebody will have that piece of the puzzle that they talk about so much to put it all together. Now, when you say that, it kind of means to me like, we know who it is, but we need that one piece of evidence or a witness, a real witness, not one of these 70 witnesses that were on the trails that day. That's just ridiculous talk. And don't get me started going in on that again. Watch one of my previous videos if you want to know my thoughts on the 70 plus witnesses that were on the bridge the day of the murders, or the day after. Um, a lot of inconsistencies that need to be solved in this case. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all. Kissy kissy. And this is Stu Sutcliffe, REALSTUSUTCLIF @gmail.com. Good day.